we have a very dedicated committee, and I'm sure that they'd be able to meet the task if that's the expectation of this board.
And what's going to fail and what's not going to get done in order to do that? And is that going to cost money because you're going to have to get that committee to meet? Are you going to have to get substitute teachers to meet in their place? Or are you going to have to pay them overtime for it? Or is it going to be, I mean, we have our architect telling us that 2 semesters, 1 year is needed. We have professionals saying it's not in the best interest of the children. But yet here we go again. Let's us decide that this is a better idea because we know more than the educators and the professionals. I mean, clearly we didn't do a good job before, so why would we go out on a limb now and do this again? We didn't have a plan, and it fell through with the referendum. Now we're going to do it again and have no plan and try and pass this? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why, and my understanding was we had option 4 and option 5. If we voted on grade centers,
we actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 actually.
Right.
And we only voted on grade centers.
We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we had it narrowed down to 4 and 5. Then it was to pass grade centers. So if it was narrowed down to 4 and 5, 5 being grade centers, and that didn't pass, then it would be number 4.
I disagree with that logic.
Because you didn't get your way. So I'm sure you will.
Maybe I called for the meeting.
No, I know you called. It has nothing to do with the meeting.
I called
Nothing.
you. I wanted more information.
That's
from
great,
the plan.
but this information is not going to make it work. This information is wonderful. It's great. It's not going to make the grade centers move smoothly for the next school year.
But it will save the programs.
That's great, but let's throw a bunch of kids in a room that's playing basketball, but I'm sorry, your curriculum's up for grabs.
Why would it be up for grabs? I'm sorry.
Because there's no time to schedule and for everybody and everything to get in place. And I'm sorry, the kindergartners have to stand on step stools to go to the washroom, and the 8th graders have to kneel down to go to the washroom because we don't have bathrooms and feasibility.
Which
for
bathrooms
that.
are those, just out of curiosity? I mean, I walked the building several times, and I didn't see any of that.
Well, I'm told that that's what it is.
By who?
By our architect.
Our architect did not say that.
Yes, he did. He said on the-
Did you say that the, I'm sorry, Alan, could you please address the question?
It was
Yeah,
discussed.
part of the study would be to audit that. The goal to do a 0 or low cost grade level change would be to change as few fixtures as possible.
Right, because by law you don't have to. And then
That's
it was
correct.
brought up that there's bathrooms and toilets that are low for the little kids. And you guys said by law, we don't have to change it. Which means that there is.
So the big, okay.
What has changed from the vote that we took last week saying no for grade centers for next year to this week? Other than that we voted no
I mean,
and
I
that
think
wasn't
it's
what you wanted.
wonderful
I don't
to say
understand.
things, but if you're not doing it with fidelity and not doing it in a way that's gonna make it work, why would we do it?
It's because of the perception that I think that you guys had in a sense that there's only a $250,000 cut, and that's not correct, it's $750.
If we had
And so
Dr.
I
Schilling
don't
here,
think
we would know for sure what he meant.
his document says it's $750.
No.
And
No.
so
No, it doesn't.
that's why I thought that if you look at in grade centers, how many more programs that you're saving to preserve the overall well-rounded child out there and the programs for that child, that once you saw that in option number 5, in a sense, that you do save music and art, and you save sports and the clubs and the curriculum work. You save all that, and you get to save it, and you still have money left over. That's the fiscally responsible thing to do. And the kid is much better off. Our student will be much better off.
Being fiscally responsible is by doing something when you have a detailed plan that you know is gonna work.
Exactly.
Not sit there and
And
say,
that's where the feasibility study
hey,
will come into play.
let's do this, grade centers, throw it together, and then, oh, we'll just make it work, we'll make it work. That to me is not a plan.
So the reason why the vote was no is because I voted no, and I said, I agree with the concept, I just do not agree with the
So now
approach.
this you feel like
Wait,
is the concept?
I said I do not agree with the approach, and the approach is too aggressive. So then I asked for a special meeting so we could discuss providing a plan, doing what we have to do to create that plan. And tonight I'm gonna ask Dr. O'Malley to add to whatever was on the STR proposal, to add the educational and the scheduling piece to that, so we can create some kind of a plan and discuss it. If at that time we don't agree, then we don't agree, and we don't go to grades. But we have the option to talk about it.
When, though, do the teachers need to be notified for being referees for all that?
Listen, I provide this to the board. This is contractual obligation, so
if you look, so contractually, we're expected to follow a process in the event that we are to have a reduction in force. It's also known as a RIF. And so, following our collective bargaining agreement, this is something I brought to the board, we've talked about in closed session, I've talked about it in the public, we put over this document. We have a RIF joint committee that's made up of two members. It's a principal, myself, and the two association presidents. We meet weekly, sometimes twice a week, and we go over a lot of information, and we have a lot of discussions. But nevertheless, right now, February 1 is one of our benchmarks. It's the last day for the reduction of force joint committee to make any changes in the RIF process. Okay, that's the last day. But at the same extent, we're required to send a sequence of honorable dismissal to each of our staff members. So we've met that expectation, we've sent it out to our staff members. If they have issues, concerns, or they believe that something is not presented correctly, they're basically to challenge it back to the district office. We just received the last one of those on Thursday or Friday of last week. So we're starting the process of checking into that matter so that we can send the staff to let them know where they stand. It'll be done by February 1, but nevertheless, according to our attorney, according to our collective bargaining agreement, April 25th, 2017, at least 45 calendar days prior to the end of the school term, teachers falling into Group 1 may be changed at the district's discretion in another group based on their overall evaluation rating. Same date, April 25th, 2017, at least 45 days prior to the last school day, the Board of Education must have adopted any resolutions for RIF dismissal of teachers or non-reemployment of non-tenured teachers and provide notice of dismissal upon the affected teachers. Notice must be mailed to the teacher and given to the teacher either by certified mail, return receipt requested, or personal delivery with receipt. So we are following this process. So we've been in the context of we've been following it to the T.
So we do have enough time?
So we have time. And I've also double checked that with our attorney. So we can based on what I'm hoping to receive some direction tonight, that I can create a schedule or schedules, whatever the board so chooses me to do, and then I'd be expected to report back with that schedule, or I can give to the architect based upon what you believe you're going to vote on here tonight. That's one of the components we need as part of the collective bargaining.
How much time do you need to create a schedule for option 5 if the board decides to go forward with that?
We've already created a preliminary schedule to give an idea to see if this is doable. So when I say this, look at the scenarios. That was one of the requirements for Craig Schilling. So we've done a preliminary. So basically, we just have to go back to the drawing board, and we've actually scheduled a Saturday, where we can basically go over both those schedules if we so choose. And so we can do them within the same day.
And the definition of the scheduling is what?
Scheduling is creating the day from beginning to end for our students.
Okay.
In K through, depending on which one you choose. So if it was, and that's why we need to know. Because the music and art are an intimate part of how we schedule. Kindergarten is an intimate part. So if you're willing to put those back, we're going to create that schedule and come back to it. If you're not, then the schedule looks entirely different. And the same can be said for scenario 5. We need that information. We need that information.
That's why I asked for a special meeting, because I left Tuesday night with uncertainty. I didn't know. I had people calling me, asking me, are we doing it? Aren't we doing it? What's the plan? And I couldn't answer that because I myself left here that night not knowing where we were at.
I mean, I guess shame on me for being a fool that when we voted, are we gonna do grade centers? And the answer was no, and I took it as no, we weren't. Call me crazy.
I think we're missing the big picture here in the fact that if the referendum passes, next year we would have to cut $250,000 out, which could be taken with the 6 to 8, while we take the year to prepare a comprehensive and complete transition into grade centers, looking at the building issues, looking at the scheduling issues, looking at the timing issues, looking at all of that. And I don't see why, let me phrase that, I understand we could save more money if we did it next year, but what is that doing to our students? What is it? We're throwing them into situations that I can't tell my kid, oh yeah, next year you're gonna be in this you know what I mean? If I can't tell them, and I'm on the board and I'm sitting on this side of the table, I don't know how any of the other parents in the community would be able to. They need a plan, they need something concrete to look at that says, this is how we're going to execute it before anybody's gonna believe us that we're gonna do it.
That also comes in with the feasibility study though. We also need to get permission for that feasibility study to start.
The way I look at the feasibility study is that is an integral part of the plan that hopefully Dr. O'Malley can take and add some of the rest of the pieces, including the schedule, and come back with at least a high-level plan of how it would look. That's, I mean, feasibility study kind of sounds.
I was gonna say, the feasibility
It just
study
sounds
though is
like
not, the
that's
feasibility
not-
study says it's not including,
Yeah, it's not.
we understand it's
okay.
not construction, it's a proposal for a portion only, does not include public communication, which can certainly be added for additional fee and is recommended. The study will not include operational costs and savings, it's understood as being by somebody else. I mean, is the
Right, so-
feasibility study, is that a study of everything? Is that a study of the buildings? Is that a study of, are they coming back and saying every integral part of this? Are you going to have a schedule from A to Z of every single step of every single thing?
I think we have a couple different groups doing different things. For example, the budget side of it with Dr. Schilling with these numbers. And we're gonna have Dr. O'Malley and the administration work with the Teacher Association to put together the schedule. And then we're gonna have the architect look at the part about, is it feasible to go to grade centers and what needs to be done?
Then how can we vote on something?
right.
How
I
can we
mean,
vote
why
on
in the
something
world
if
would
we
we-
don't know if it's feasible?
Right, we don't even know if
How-
it's feasible, and here you guys are pushing it for next year.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to approve the feasibility study so we can have the information, so we can make an educational decision.
That's it.
But it's a,
We didn't discuss anything else yet. That's all.
Right, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Same question. We want to do the feasibility study so we can see if it's feasible to do or not. That's what we're asking.
So I have a question. The feasibility study, maybe this is directed to Dr. O'Malley. The feasibility study from STR is the pieces that, I think in the last meeting we discussed, couldn't you just do everything? Couldn't you put the whole plan together? And I think the feasibility study is a piece defining the building, the structure, things with the building that you couldn't do because you don't have the expertise in that area. Is that correct? Or the time, is that correct?
At the time.
Okay.
So don't forget, your board president made a suggestion that, that if I needed assistance, that it would be something that we would take a look at this point in time. Because
Right.
let's not kid ourselves, if it doesn't pass, unless I heard something different, if it doesn't pass, I heard that we were going to grade centers no matter what.
no.
Okay, so that's different from what I heard the first time. I heard that from it was 6-1 at the time.
It was
It was
that's
not.
That's what the consensus was.
It was not a vote. It was never a vote.
Not a vote, but it was a
So
straw
since when do
consensus.
straw polls count for anything instead of a vote on paper that's been published by law for Open Meetings Act 48 hours in advance that we can talk in front of the public about?
We are talking about it.
But that wasn't the vote. The vote was grade centers, 3-3, so it was no. So where you guys keep coming up with that, so if it doesn't pass, we're doing grade centers. I
Well,
am
what
like,
doesn't pass, what are we gonna do?
I don't get it. Option 4.
So if it doesn't pass, you wanna go with option 4?
Yeah, that's
Is
what we've
everybody
been
else-
saying.
Does everybody else gonna agree to that though? I mean, when that happens, we're gonna come back to the table and have a discussion.
There's
No, what
things that have
happens
to
is now
happen
we have to
before
look at our
that.
kids in the community and tell them we just cut all these programs, because.
No, we're being fiscally responsible and doing what's
No, I don't-
right for
I don't
them.
believe so.
Fiscally
I don't think so.
It is fiscally responsible and it's doing what's right by putting,
But, okay.
by giving sports and by doing certain things and throwing it in there when it's not, when there's no plan. I don't know how you think you're doing a child justice.
I completely agree with you. That's
mean,
why
I-
I'm gonna have a plan.
That's why we're trying to do a plan.
That's why we're trying.
And everybody that keeps telling us the plan should take a year. Like rushing into it is not the thing to do. And yet here we keep going, rushing into it.